John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down! Ready, down, set, hut, 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 hut!
Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome back. It is not the post-game podcast you thought you were going to get because the Sooners lose at 48-41 in just horrific fashion here in Manhattan, Kansas. Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and I know it's not the Big 12 championship you wanted, guys, but hey, Baylor versus Kansas State in Arlington. That's what
tickets.
You shut your goddamn mouth.
It can't be Iowa State now. They just lost.
I mean, where do we even begin? What a weird day in the Big 12. What a weird day in Manhattan. It was just, everything about it was just strange.
As we're doing this podcast, as we're setting it up ready to go, Oklahoma State is that the final? Are they final?
Yeah, I believe so.
They've beat Iowa
both
State.
Games are final.
TCU has beat Texas.
Fifth time in 6 years.
Kansas State has beaten Oklahoma.
And, I mean, we'd be remiss to not mention that the dead program that is Nebraska just got beat in Lincoln by Indiana. So if that makes anybody feel better.
So that was every ranked team in the conference.
I think we can
lost.
see the bug eaters from here up at the top of this press conference or press box.
I don't know. No, those are just
looks like bug eaters are in that
Those
direction.
are just topless 200+ pound women from Manhattan. Quite the damn party outside, huh?
Well, they're getting lucky tonight because the folks in Manhattan, they deserve to celebrate.
Where do you even begin?
I've covered this program for 20 years. I've never been in Manhattan and seen a loss. This is the first time it's happened. I've been to Lubbock. I've seen it happen. I've never seen it happen at Iowa State. I've seen it happen in Stillwater, Baylor.
If you were born in 1996, today was the first day that you have seen Oklahoma lose in Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean,
how about that?
Look, they deserved it. It was a great crowd today.
Yes, it was.
It was a legit football atmosphere.
Was it vintage Kansas State?
Absolutely.
That felt as vintage Kansas State as you can possibly get. And
down on the field at the end, the Wabash Cannonball, that was the best that I've ever heard.
Yes, that's
it's unbelievable.
First field storming I've been a part of too.
Should have taken a charge. And in fact, you know what? Now that you guys say that, I think my neck kind of hurts. I think I kind of got I might have got assaulted by a student out there this morning.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting, and by the way, let's welcome in Jason Kersey.
Hey! I'm here. How's it going?
We should play some wedding chimes or some bells.
Former podcast regular who now has his own podcast that we're not going to let him promote on here.
That's fine. I wouldn't expect to.
You work for The Athletic. You do your own podcast, The Outside World.
Yeah.
We'll let you give it a little plug here.
Oh, you don't have to do that, but thank you. Yeah, The Outside World.
We lost Jason's microphone.
Oh, too bad.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No. I don't need to do that. I'm thrilled to be here. I love joining you guys. Thanks for having me.
But Jason, let's start with you. Let's just go over this game. What was your takeaway? What was your main story on The Athletic after this thing was over?
Well, I mean, my takeaway was OU is in big trouble for the college football playoff. I mean, I know that they've lost before and made it, but and I know that the final score, ended up being relatively
a lot better
close
than it really was because it was an ass kicking.
And it was an ass kicking. And if we're to believe what the college football playoff committee says. That they really watch all these games and that they pay attention to everything. There's no way that 3.5 quarters aren't going to – the 3.5 quarters of ugly game control. Jeff Long said game control. And, that was years before he was making terrible statements about Snoop Dogg. But, yeah.
Well, he didn't make terrible statements about Snoop Dogg. He just made ridiculous statements after he brought strippers.
He made an old statement.
Yeah.
It was old.
Oh, that's not surprising.
But no, I mean they're in big trouble. I mean, because if Alabama and LSU play a close game, The loser of that game's getting in.
Oh my God!
And
Wait
well,
a minute.
that was
Well,
an
they
undefeated
lost.
Oklahoma.
Yeah,
that was an undefeated Oklahoma. We had a big argument on the podcast this week.
I
This
know,
season's
I know,
over.
I know.
And what'd you say? What'd you say, Kersey?
I side with Eddie.
Yes, absolutely.
Undefeated
But-
Oklahoma.
But guess what?
0-0.
We don't live in that world anymore.
well, yeah, it doesn't
It's not a
matter now.
possibility.
It doesn't matter now. It
It's a
doesn't
good
matter.
thing we did
it
that
doesn't matter
podcast
at all.
last week because that podcast is over now.
Well, it was a little bit of the old as far as
The Mike Stoops
Oklahoma,
old.
yes, Oklahoma not being able to get off on the field on third down. I went back through every third down that Kansas State converted. They converted a 3rd and 9.
They
Pass
converted a 1st and
interference.
23. You have to start there.
3rd and
don't you?
17. I didn't even have the 3rd and 23.
Well, it's 1st and 23. I think they got it before they ever got the third down.
I got you. I just looked at the third downs, but 3rd and 10 twice, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 5, 4th and 6, and a lot of those went for touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it was a very poor effort. I think from the get go, it seemed like Oklahoma, even when they were up 10 to 10-0.
It was 10-0,
You
17-7.
have to settle for a field goal,
and it wasn't a dominant 10-0.
No, it was just a weird 10-0.
You would have a big play here, and then you'd have some negative plays, and then all of a sudden, okay, you just go ahead and get it in the end zone.
I kind of referred to it as a program loss. There was not one bright spot in what they did today, and I think the frustrating thing for fans is this seems like it happens once a year where there is just an inexplicable loss. And I guess on one side it's a positive because Oklahoma has been so good over the
Yeah, when you say this happens at least once a year, that's like Nebraska would love it if this happened.
Yeah,
just once.
exactly. It's like I said it in jest after the game, but I tweeted it. But it's like I was already skeptical, but I'll be damned if Oklahoma if they weren't going to win out for the rest of eternity. It's like, but at the same time, there's a reason to be pissed off or mad or whatever you want because it was so bad.
This is supposed to be Jalen Hurts is supposed to make sure this stuff didn't happen. And you look at the third quarter.
It doesn't matter what Jalen Hurts did. Jalen
Hurts 12 yards.
He wasn't
going to
do anything today to make up for that defense that was out there for Oklahoma.
Third
it was
back three
Baker
outs.
Mayfield could not have saved this team from this defense today. They were atrocious. And here's Alex Grinch talking about his disappointment after it was over.
I thought we lost our composure, and I got to look at myself in that way. You know, what can I do better to put them in you know, whether it's a call or you know, how are we handling on the sideline? Or, you know, do you charge them up on the sideline? Do you tell them to relax and stick with it? You know, whether they need to hear in those moments. But yeah, just the lack of poise, the lack of you know, in the end, you know, not making plays, you know, and so why is that? Again, it always comes back to coaching. Why do you get a couple third down stops early that are negated by penalties once again? And again, it's coaching. So we're either we must be allowing that, and so that's something that we got to do obviously a better job of. But no, I'd say poise and ultimately execution. And like I said, it all comes back down to me.
And Bob, I'll throw it to you. I mean, Alex Grinch was the same guy that we see every day, you know, at practice when we talk to him. And I don't think we expected anything less, but he was a guy that really didn't have any answers, even in the postgame.
Yeah, and this was the first time where we saw one bad play snowball. And, you know, we've seen so many times they've had singular bad plays or a bad drive here or there, but then bounce back.
Well, you know, obviously, from the
sorry. Alex Grinch, he's talking
Alex,
over you. He's coming
shut
over
up,
the top.
Alex.
I'll come at him Monday.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. And you talk about, you know, not having the horses or whatever, or letting things snowball on you. Parnell Motley getting ejected from the game. I mean, that is horrible in this situation, in this environment, as good as this crowd was.
Did he kick a guy?
Twice,
I haven't seen. I still haven't seen it.
Apparently,
And
he
it was
kicked the guy twice.
The touchdown that made it 17-14 Sooners.
I mean, he's a
and
senior.
then
What are you doing?
Exactly.
They didn't bring
that's right.
Jordan Parker with, so you were down to Jaden Davis and Trey Brown to play every single snap from that point forward.
And then they lose the Larry and Turner yell to, I assume, a concussion.
You
took his helmet
assume
away.
they took his helmet away.
What?
And here's Lincoln Riley after it was over on those situations.
Lincoln, do you have an update on DeLaren, and how much did Motley's ejection hurt the secondary?
Well, I mean, losing two secondary starters was a big deal. There's no doubt about it. It limited some things we could do, and they've been two solid players for us. So yeah, we'll come back and reevaluate him. He wasn't able to come back, and then yeah, and then obviously losing Motley, lost his composure there on the sideline, and there's no room for it. It hurt our team.
And here again is Alex Grinch not giving any excuses about it, but talking about his depth issues.
Well, obviously, from a depth standpoint, first off, nobody cares, how many corners we bring with us. But in the end, we got to respond obviously better. Lost Delarin there as well in the second half, and guys that when their number's called, got to go out there and play, and we got to do a great job preparing them to execute at a higher level. I thought for the most part, and from a secondary standpoint, I think the order of the day was consistently being a step away, consistently. Whether it was a zone coverage concept, whether it was a man coverage concept, we found ourselves in that way, and I'm in charge of it. And so we got to find a way to hold up better.
And guys, we haven't seen a team attack Oklahoma's secondary down the middle of the field this year. They've tried on the corners, they've tried to go deep on the sideline, but this was just an assault on the safeties down the middle of the field today.
It seemed like a death by 1,000 cuts or whatever, because you just knew it. Like as soon. Thank you. I was the only one on my game today. By the way, I shot an unbelievable game. Had a really good day down on the field.
To sights and sounds that nobody was going to want to watch.
Nobody will care about, but it was really good. There was nothing like crazy about it, and I think that's the most frustrating thing is they just got run over.
Oh.
Like there was nothing that Kansas State did that was. There was no trickeration, really. It was just right at
harder.
you. It was so vintage. Like I swear to God, Bill Snyder, if he wanted to, could have jerked off the entire second half because it was that beautiful.
Hey,
I'm sure for him.
Look at this. You want to know how just much better they were today? 426 total yards for Kansas State, 213 rushing, 213 passing.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was vintage. What this program was basically built on, like Clyde's. Is it Chris Kleinsman?
Chris Kleinsman.
Kleinman.
There is no S. No S in his name at all. No S.
Chris Kleiman.
But not Hyman.
Not Hyman. No.
Okay, good.
That's Tom Herman.
He nice, Bob. That was a good one. It was a thorough ass beating. And I don't think there's like any way, there's no other way to say it. Like hell of a comeback. We'll get into the onside. I'm sure that was weird, to say the least, but it kind of went in line with everything that happened today in Manhattan.
38 minutes of time of possession. This is exactly what they wanted.
No, it was everything that they said as far as
to 21:52. That was the difference.
It's unbelievable.
They kicked their ass, but here's the thing: we're everybody's going to be talking about the defense, and rightfully so. But we cannot let Lincoln Riley off the hook here. The offense played like shit too.
Well,
in the second and third quarter,
what's the most shocking thing of all that?
In their second and third quarters, they didn't score any touchdowns. That's a huge reason why they lost the game. Kennedy Brooks and Trey Sermon combined for 6 carries.
They didn't have the ball though. That's another problem.
But he said we couldn't give him. When I asked him about that, he said we can't give him carries late because we're trying to come back.
Right.
But that doesn't explain earlier in the game. I mean, think about the play that caused them to take the lead. He calls that ridiculous when they have a 20-17 lead with about a minute left in the first half. Calls that ridiculous reverse pass to Nick Basquin, interception. K-State scores 3 plays later, takes the lead, and they never give it up again.
I will say though,
wait, hold on. Here's Lincoln on that running back situation that you mentioned.
Trey and Kennedy 6 carries combined.
It's Jason Kersey.
Gotten them the ball more?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it got tough there at the end of the game just with the scenario of having to score a bunch and in a short amount of time. So that obviously was a factor. But yeah, we didn't run the ball the way that we're accustomed to running it from the tailback position.
They're 2 of the best running backs in the Big 12, maybe the country, and they had 6 combined carries. That is inexcusable.
Absolutely, 100% agreed. I will say, the Basquin trickeration there before halftime, it turns out bad. It hit Rambo in the goddamn chest. I don't know what else.
Right. But
it
even
pops up in the air.
Yeah, sure, but the play didn't work because they wanted to go downfield with him.
Sure, but they were still going to move. They were still going to move the sticks, though, weren't they? Were they not? I mean, that was going to be a first down.
I'm just
you got
saying,
to catch that.
You got to catch that. But also, you could just give the damn ball to Trey Sermon or Kennedy Brooks.
I don't think that you do it in that situation though, because there was under a minute and a half left. But I now any other spot there. I mean, giving 6 carries to the running back in this game is ridiculous.
When was the last time OU had a game where the running backs got 6 carries?
And what's the first thing that Riley always says? Like, everything that they do offensively is predicated on being able to run the ball.
He hasn't been that well. It's not that he hasn't been that way, but look, Lincoln Riley has a real problem in that Jalen Hurts is taking away all the runs from his quarterback or from his running backs.
Is that a like, I don't want to say selfish, but like, is he just keeping the ball and not giving it? Like, I would like to know from a coaching standpoint, should he be giving the ball to the running back more?
I think it's almost like just as him as a play caller, he probably thinks, okay, well, we just picked up this much on the ground, so let's go to the air now. Like it's
no, I think he does.
I think it's screwing with his head a little bit.
I think he does, but at the same time, don't you think that? I guess what I'm trying to say is Jalen Hurts forcing the issue? And like I kind of laughed about it because somebody brought it up on the board, but it kind of got the wheels in motion in my brain as far as like, does Jalen Hurts have maybe a little hint of Russell Westbrook? Like he tries to do too much in the end,
I think that's a fair comparison.
Or keeping the ball in his hands.
I really think that's a fair comparison.
Like I laughed it off, and I was about to like kind of make fun of him to you guys, and then I kind of thought about it, and it's like, if he should.
The problem is he's not checking away from a run, and then running it himself.
Sure,
he's dropping back for passes and just leaving the pocket, and they still have design runs. I mean, there were plays today that worked where you could tell they were design runs for Jalen Hurts, but the problem is. Lincoln's calling all these pass plays and they're not working, and Jalen's taking the ball and it's producing some ground game for him, but he's not coming back to the traditional ground game. He's just not.
No. You look at the third quarter with the 6 plays for 12 yards. It's Brooks and Sermon combined for 1 carry. The very first play, Brooks went for 5 yards, and then they were never seen from again. It's just. They put himself into that hole and then didn't let themselves dig out of it with the running game initially to where it got to 48-23, and you couldn't go to that. But when it's, what was it, 27-23, you can lean on the run game still. Even 34-23, you can try to run. They just didn't do it.
Yeah, and because the 34-23, I mean, that happened so quickly out of the first half. Well, you hold them to a field goal out of the halftime, and then I couldn't.
Then you go 3 and out offensively.
No, it was the fumble, right?
No.
They went 3 and out.
Yes.
Then they scored. Then the fumble.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, from about the 7-minute mark. I mean, I'd say 7-minute mark of the second quarter to about the 9-minute mark of the fourth quarter. That's probably the worst Oklahoma has played in. I mean, 10 years.
A long time. Where the hell was Ramondre Stevenson?
He was here.
Was he here?
I definitely charted him in the pregame.
That was about to be my next question. Was he even here? Because I don't think he got stepped on the field.
No, I was up.
He may have been on special teams.
Well, shit, he wouldn't have gotten the ball anyway, so why does it matter?
You're right.
If you can't give Kennedy Brooks more than 3 carries, you're not giving Ramondre Stevenson 3.
Oh, man. It was just, it was.
That's what I mean.
I had some PTSD flashbacks with the defense, though.
I just think people need to, the defense certainly deserves a lot of blame, and they definitely backslid today. But that offense was really to blame for a lot of this.
The only bright spot, really, if you really want to just be blunt about it, the only bright spot was Burkish. I mean, the goddamn kicker had an excellent day. I think they have a kicker.
How did Callum Sutherland win that job?
Yeah, that's true too.
Burkish missed 2 kicks to start the season. I mean, he missed his first 2 kicks this year.
He has not
he did.
missed the kick.
Sutherland missed 2 kicks at the beginning of the season.
Well, then
you must have been drinking with Sutherland.
I mean, you look what Gabe did.
We are Scottish.
He set his career high twice with a 44 and a 50, and then he hit the big one to make it by 7 to even give them a chance.
I was standing next to you, and we both were like, he might miss this one. This is a lot of pressure. So,
look, I don't stand with Kersey on this. I mean, the defense was so putrid today for me. I can't blame the offense. I mean, are there issues with the offense? Yes, but there are every week. We pick where's Grant Calcaterra? Why aren't they throwing it to the tight end? Trey Sermon, when's he ever going to get the ball? Is he hurt? I mean, we find things to pick at with the offense. They're still scoring at a relatively high clip. They were not good today, but the defense could not get Kansas State off the field. They couldn't, every time the offense took the field today, to me, they felt too much pressure because the defense sucked. I mean, it was, and Kansas State was great offensively. Like I said, we're sitting here in their house, so I feel like we have to give them a little credit. But I mean, they played harder. They were more physical on both sides of the line. I felt like today. There was times in the first half, Eric Swinson might have been the worst player on the field. Out of everybody that was out there. So but the offense to me, if they get better support from their defense, we're not sitting here talking about an OU loss. I just
probably not. But I mean, they average less than 4 yards a carry. That is not.
Yeah, but they still at halftime they were averaging 10 yards a play.
Yeah, and they still almost average 10 yards a play. I'm just saying that some of this stuff is very questionable. But
I'm just that proponent of the offense that we find something to gripe about them every week, and we can't.
I know, and that's true about the Calcaterra thing or White and CeeDee Lamb getting the ball when they're winning by 40. But when they lose a game and the two running backs who are stars only have 6 carries,
I think that's almost in a little bit, and I think in a way like we've been so conditioned.
I do not stand with Kersey.
Well. I'm going to get after you a little bit, Kersey, but I think it's almost kind of a product of what we've become or the way that we've watched games, though, because the defense has been so bad. You just expect this offense to score every time they get the ball, which is incredibly ridiculous on our part to even think that is an option out there. But it is a little bit of it. It's kind of like the loss thing with Oklahoma. It's like it just doesn't happen a whole lot. There was somebody in the postgame press conference that I think he was one of the student reporters or something, but he was asking, like, because we only got the captains after the game. And it's like, does this normally happen after a loss? And, like, I thought about it for a second. I was like, holy shit, this kid has never covered. He's covered the team for a year, and he's never even gone through a losing postgame press conference. So I kind of think, like, the offensive thing, I guess what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is I put a lot more on the defense and the way that they play as opposed to the offense. But I think it's just kind of the way that we've been conditioned to watch games.
Okay, we've talked about the offense and the defense. Both of them had their issues today. I think there's one thing though we haven't talked about that a lot of people want to hear from or they want to hear about, and I think we're gonna award that because we've got our Eskridge Lexus that we drove to the game today. Beautiful 2019 LS. I'm going to tell you about that, but let's do this real quick.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
All right, I don't want to do like what a network show would do, which is take the one really good play and try and sugarcoat it and make it like, oh, everything was, this was just such a great play, even though it was, a loss. Like they would probably give that play to CeeDee Lamb for the 70-yard touchdown. But the play of the game,
give me to MF somebody.
No.
They wouldn't do that on the network.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm going to say the play of the game is the onside kick that happened late because it decided the outcome eventually of the game. A lot of people are confused about exactly why it was ruled or not ruled a certain way. Reggie Smith was the head referee, and I'll really give it up to why can't I think of the Tulsa World?
Kelly Hines.
She worked really hard to get comment from that as a pool reporter.
With no help from the home team, which I thought was very strange.
That was an impressive effort because I didn't think she was going to get it.
And she did get a comment. And
doesn't sound like the Big 12 helped her out either.
No, and Bob Bowlesby was here today.
He'd been at sleep at the wheel for 5 years now.
So what if Bob Bowlesby just burst in the door and was like, is that horns up for peace guy?
I'd say, Bob, with all due respect, get the f*** out. We're recording a podcast.
I have to edit this. We're
on the road. It's hard to edit.
All right.
Well, you just asked what I'd say. That's what I'd say.
All right. But anyway, it was explained. Basically, you can read the rule all you want. They basically said that they did not.
I have it if you want me to.
They did not. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. People can read it for themselves. Nobody understands why they did what they did. But essentially, it says that they did not see another player interfere with Bridges when the ball hit him.
Which
is
the comment from the Big 12 was basically, we're not going to answer your question. That's the translation.
Because the video shows.
I don't think that was the translation. I think he's saying that he didn't think anybody blocked him into.
Right. Yes.
Exactly.
Which
he's saying the rule is this. This is the rule. If someone is blocked into a ball that is a free kick. That's what we're talking about. The rules applied to free kicks. The rule states that if someone is blocked into a free kick, it is considered that he did not illegally touch it.
Right.
So what he's doing, he said, this is the rule. We did not interpret that this happened.
But he's wrong.
Which is incredible that you go back and you look at something And for them to come back and say that it
Change the
basically
ruling.
didn't happen, overrule what they ruled on the field. Like, and I guess before we even delve all the way into this, it has to be said, like, it should have never come down to this. You're a 23-point favorite.
Yeah.
It should never come down to this. Everybody knows that. But when you do come back in the fourth quarter and you do apparently have a chance to what everybody thought would, or it appeared to get the ball back and go have a chance to win the game, it has to be talked about, and it will be talked about for the next 2 weeks.
Here's real quick. Here's Lincoln Riley on it after the game.
More situation up at Baylor, I think my first year, and they onside it, and I don't know, that was the play that kept coming back to my mind because they engaged our player first, and then the ball hit our player, and it definitely hit him before. I think it's Trajan. It definitely hit him before the 10-yard, but I was certainly under the impression that if they engage your player into it, that there's no illegal touching. And I may be wrong on the Baylor deal, but I know the Baylor one was very, very similar a few years ago up in Waco, and they ended up giving Baylor the ball. So I don't know. We'll see. Go back. I mean, it was a 50-50 call. It didn't go our way.
And they watched that replay a lot in the stadium even.
Yeah, I thought just because when we had a bad angle, we were down in the end zone.
We had a terrible
looking up. I thought that that the ball didn't even hit Bridges, but I was obviously wrong about that. But it is a bad call. I mean, should OU just has bad luck with refs and onside kicks when they're on the road.
I tweeted during the game, get Gordon Reese into the replay booth immediately.
Well, I'll say this. There was a play, the fumble when T.J. Pledger had it and Braden Willis is walking around with the ball, like he didn't recover that. Like
right.
They awarded it to Kansas State, and I thought justifiably so. But like you said, this is another one of those. And Eddie said it. You shouldn't be in that position in the first place, so you really don't have a whole lot of I don't think this is like the Oregon deal. Like, he doesn't deserve that. Or even the Texas Tech deal, with the stretching over the goal line or the Danny Amendola,
right.
phantom, fourth down pickup and all that.
How they played for 3.5 quarters is, I mean, for the standards that they've set around this place, and this place being Norman, it's unacceptable. They played awful.
Well, in the Oregon game and the Texas Tech game, you can make the case those two calls directly impacted the result of the game. Oregon went on to score whatever. In this, we don't know what OU would have done. They couldn't score a touchdown on the drive before, so maybe they wouldn't have got in. We don't know.
Well, that is your Eskridge Lexus play of the game. I want to remind you guys, Eskridge Lexus, a great title sponsor of our post-game podcast, the reason we can bring it to you each and every week, and the reason we take time to do it like we're doing now in the post-game press box, to get it up before we head back home. They set us up with a lovely 2019 Lexus LS this weekend. It's the big sedan. The guys always enjoy it. Eddie's got like his own information center.
I have my own command center back there.
It's crazy.
You should see the things that I've been doing back there when you guys aren't turning around.
Wait a minute.
Well, they have to resell this car, Eddie.
Okay.
Might
have to run it through the car wash again.
We've already done that once. Ed, we'll tell you about it when we get back. But no, anyway, there's it's kind of the change over time right now. So they've got a lot of 29. They've got over 10 different 2019 Lincoln or Lexus LSs on the lot. Lincoln Riley's. He drives a Lincoln, I think. He doesn't drive a Lexus. We got to fix that, maybe.
Lincoln,
Ed,
you need to come in, turn your car in on Monday.
Ed, we got to get
brother.
on that. But he's got 10 different models on the lot right now, over $12,000 off. Tell them that you're listener to the Sooner Scoop podcast or a Sooner Scoop subscriber, and they will get you taken up. EskridgeLexus.com. Go check them out online and check out that inventory. It's on there of the Lexus LS if you're looking for a great luxury sedan. So thanks to Ed and thanks to all the folks at Eskridge Lexus for sponsoring the podcast and sending us to Manhattan. So bye week coming, guys. It's not going to be pretty. Not going to be pretty around Sooner Scoop. Probably not going to be pretty around the Athletic email account.
Well, bye weeks during this portion of the season always suck, but I would have to imagine they suck even more when whoever, whether you're a fan or whether you cover the team or whatever, you have to go through 2 weeks of not filling that void next weekend.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that the guys after the game got asked a lot is whether they'd rather go play another game. Nobody really bid on that question, but I got to believe that
schedule a game next week.
But I got to believe they wish they were playing next week because that's a long time to stew on something like this. It was just ugly.
You know what's funny is Iowa State will be coming off of a bye as well, Bob.
And they just lost too. But no, that's when I always say, if you have any good recruiting news, throw it out there now. This is when you need some positive momentum. I don't think there's anything out there. I think Sooner are doing a good job of leaning toward getting some top guys here, but I don't think it'll happen in this next week and a half when they can really use that boost.
I don't know if it's necessary such a negative from defensive standpoint, because you show people that you've played 7 games where you're pretty well, and then you showed a game where 2 guys got kicked out and you got your butts kicked. I mean, it's almost like, it's look, we're doing better. We just need more bodies. I mean, I think that's kind of the selling job that they're doing to Dante Manning right now. Probably Josh Eaton as well.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys. You guys know more about recruiting than me. Is what does a guy like Dante Manning think after a game like that? Because
I think it always is one of those things that, and Bob, you definitely be able to tell us more. But
I tell this to everyone. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I tell this to everyone. High school kids lose games. They understand. Like, people always act like, oh, well, they didn't.
They're all decommitted.
They didn't get to the playoffs and it's over. Or how many recruits are going to decommit? Like, high school kids lose games all the time. They understand losing a game. They understand why it happens. I mean, it's not a foreign concept. They don't expect, like fans do, that every team is going to win every game. There, I'm sorry.
Well said.
No, I mean
that's what I was going to say.
I mean that's fair. I just wonder, we hear about how recruiting or how the defensive recruits are starting to really believe in what Alex Grinch is doing, and it's helping pick things up, and then something like this happens.
Yeah, I think it would be more detrimental if they lose 3 of the next 4 or something.
Yeah, because
and look bad doing it, because then you question, are they doing the right thing?
Yeah, what you point to is you could be the difference maker. You see that we only had 3 corners here. One of them gets hurt or ejected. That's how thin we are. You come in, if you're as good as you believe you are, you can be a starter from day one.
You guys would be able to tell me better, but I couldn't tell because I was down on the field, obviously, doing video and stuff, but it seemed like the front 7 just got pushed around today.
Yeah.
Like Ronnie Perkins, Neville Gallimore, Kenneth Mann, Q Overton, I thought played
really well, yeah.
But I mean, that was the only bright spot. What happened to those guys today? Because
they were just getting creased inside.
Kenneth Murray got his legs taken out so many times.
It seemed like he was not around the ball at all today. I think Garen Emig from the Tulsa World even mentioned it on Twitter, just as far as like they have completely eliminated Kenneth Murray today.
I know. And after the season he's had and after all the praise, which he's deserved, I mean, man, it was weird. It was weird to see him like that again,
I would say after the game, Kenneth Murray was the guy that we talked to in the interview room that was probably the most resolute after this. I don't know if you would say. I mean, that seemed to really take this the hardest. Here's a little bit example of that.
How confident are you that you can fix the issues that we saw today with this defense?
Extremely confident.
Why?
Because I mean, it's if push comes to shove, the weight of the world on my shoulders, I want the weight of the world on my shoulders. And so as a leader of this defense, we're going to get it fixed. I'm going to tell you that ain't going to be no, going down the stretch and, back-to-back bad games and stuff that we've seen in the past. No, this is different. We had one bad Saturday. Well, that's life. Move on. We're going to get this thing fixed.
Kersey was laughing.
I'm just laughing at Aber.
Are you laughing at Ryan Aber?
Well, Aber asked him a question, and can you get it fixed? And he goes, or are you confident? He says yes. And Aber goes, why?
Well, that's what you have to do.
I know, but
he didn't make him answer.
It was just the funny way. It was just, even in that moment, I was sitting next to him or behind him when he did that, and I wanted to laugh even then.
And I did think, Jalen Hurts, he was a little different today in the postgame. I mean, like, I think Eddie had joked, like, what if he just came in there and said, all right, I'm going pro. See you guys. It didn't work out.
Well, I think everybody was a little bit, in a way, stunned with how bad they played, with how poorly they played. And I think that we say that, and that's given a little bit of a head nod to Kansas State. They came out and whooped their ass. Like, I think that sometimes teams lose games and you can get upset. You can get mad about it because of the way that they lost. I don't really think you can get too upset about the way they, like, they got their ass kicked. It's college football. That happens
They got their ass
sometimes.
kicked, and they actually made it look respectable to people
Sure.
who didn't watch the
Well,
game, which is like a feat in and of itself.
The last 9 minutes of the fourth quarter, if you turn that on, you would have thought Oklahoma was going to come back and win this game.
They had 220 yards in the final 12 minutes of the game.
Jesus.
Wow.
And I guess 75 of that came on the – how far was the CeeDee Lamb touchdown?
70. It was 70.
70, and then an 85-yard touchdown drive.
And that's what I mean. Where were they in the second and third quarter?
When you don't pick up first downs, you don't move the sticks.
Well, let's face it. When CeeDee Lamb ran that 70-yard touchdown, that was one of the greatest efforts I've ever seen.
He's had a lot of
him
those
give.
this year.
Like
though.
he was not going to be brought down. Here's a little bit of Jalen Hurts, just so you can get an idea of kind of what his mood was like after the game.
Jalen's 48-23. I know a lot of people watch on TV are like, are these guys going to get blown out of the building? What kind of on the field with your teammates? What's your thought process there? And and then of course you get the big 70-yard play to CD. Just kind of, can you talk about that comeback that you saw?
Whatever spark we had, resurgence we had, whatever you want to call it, it wasn't enough. It was not enough, and I'll do better with my leadership. You can't leave anything on the table no longer. So we got to attack it. We got to get our minds right. We got to take the right approach. No casualness at all. Just have the right intent as a football team. Appreciate everyone. You never know how or when it could be your last.
I was very somber, Jalen Hurts, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know where he was going with it when he said appreciate everyone. I was like, what?
I think he was trying to figure out where he was going at that point.
Yeah. Well, so was I. I was trying to figure out where he was going.
Because he's going pro. He's appreciating everyone.
You never know when I'm going to go pro tomorrow.
That could have been.
Yeah, one of those GD, see, I saved myself, one of those NCAA commercials when somebody's going pro other than sports.
I think he's going to get drafted at this point.
No, he probably will. It was, I thought, even Riley brought it up during the postgame as far as there were points in that second quarter where Oklahoma maybe could have not necessarily pulled away, because it kind of sounds stupid saying that, knowing how those second and third quarter unfolded, but the pass interference call on Trey Brown was killer. The defensive holding on Trey Brown was killer. Like those plays, extended drives that Kansas State was able to basically keep up with Oklahoma at that point. And I thought that was rather important. I mean, if you hold them to a field goal, if it's 17-6 all of a sudden, who knows what happens if you go down and score and you can pull away. So those were moments in that game where it gets the crowd into it. It gets maybe a little bit of a question mark in the back of some players' minds down there on that Oklahoma sideline that hadn't been in this situation before, which I kind of think is a little bullshit, but that's just me. It never came together. It felt like a weird day from the get-go for Oklahoma, and that even probably counts settling for a field goal down there on the opening drive.
All right, we're going to have to wrap it up. I know we probably need to get out of here. We're probably the last ones in the press box, so I think Eddie's got to walk around to get the car because I bet the gates are closed.
I can do that. I think, I don't think we're the only people in this press box. I think there's a couple people from the Oklahoma beat that are probably crying in the corner or something somewhere.
I think those guys left early.
Who knows?
The criers.
Who knows? It was an interesting day in Manhattan, though, wasn't it? It was an interesting day in the league. I think everybody's going to wake up tomorrow and just kind of be like, what the hell is going on?
And they're going to feel like they have a chance.
I mean, it is October 26th. Oklahoma's going into a bye week, and Baylor is in the driver's seat.
Baylor's
of the Big 12.
undefeated, ladies and gentlemen.
Baylor's in the driver. Any chance Baylor is favored in 3 weeks when Oklahoma goes down to Waco?
No, because Vegas makes the lines.
Maybe. I think they may be. I thought that was I've been saying all year that's a game they're going to lose, so I didn't expect this.
You think they're going to get beat in Waco?
I thought they were before today.
I think the scary thing for Oklahoma fans is that what you saw today is exactly how Baylor will try to beat OU.
Yeah.
That controlling the clock, getting off the field on third down or getting Oklahoma off the field on.
I'm going to say this. I don't think Waco can duplicate this environment.
Why, the Baptist or?
Hey,
I just don't think Waco. Waco has never been the when they played Oklahoma in 15-16 when all their players were raping everyone. I mean, like that, and Blake Bell came out and just sucked it up. Like that was a crazy environment.
Yeah, that
was Floyd Casey. That was when it was shutting down. That's the only time I can say that I've been to a game in Baylor and I've been like, wow, this is a really great crowd.
What about? I mean, I wasn't there 2 years ago when Baylor was 1-11 and still almost beat OU in Waco.
Yeah, that's because their defense sucked and they knew to just throw it over the top.
That was because the pregame for that was nothing but old country songs, and then when they started to make a run, it was all hip hop and rap.
No, but I mean, when Baker went down there and the Dimitri Flowers play, and that was, and Sterling Shepard had that great catch in the end zone. That was a great game, and that was a great crowd. But I mean, this today reminded me of old time Texas A&M crowds when they had a chance at the end. It was a great crowd. Anyway,
fun day. I don't think it was that. It was still fun, but I mean, it was a fun game,
fun weekend.
It was a great
Dante
environment.
Manning.
It was a great environment for college football today.
I would agree with that. It was. It was. I don't think I'd seen this place like that.
No,
I don't think I'd seen that place. It was. I've seen it on TV multiple times, but it would just even from when we pulled in from the morning, it seemed like it was just a strange environment as far as like no Bill Snyder is the first time that Oklahoma's played a Bill Snyderless team, and you can obviously see what happens when a team isn't being held hostage by a geriatric.
Pep in your step because Bill Snyder's finally gone.
Well, I'm happy for the K-State fans. I'm happy for the K-State program that they're not being held hostage anymore.
Right,
and obviously, you can see what had happened.
Box, all right, that's going to do it for us on the Eskridge post-game podcast. Thanks for listening. Boy, Eddie.
What?
You put one on today. I'm just going to tell you.
What do you mean?
Let's just end it, can we? All right. Thanks to Jason Kersey.
Well, I was thinking about this as well. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for having me.
Jason, thanks for stopping by. To Bob, to Eddie, I'm Carey Murdoch. We're getting the hell out of here. We're going home. Sooners back at it 2 weeks from now against Baylor. It's going to be something. So
Iowa State.
Forget it. Let's just fast forward. I don't know. This was.
You can't lose next week.
We'll see. Bye.